Kia ora koutou katoa, nau mai hara mai ki te ao Hākinakina, your sports show right here on your Tribal Pulse, te Korimako o Taranaki, 94.8 FM and 98.4 FM. Well, he is a former New Zealand Sevens representative and long-time provincial rugby player who made his mark with Taranaki and Southland. From growing up in Hāwera to representing New Zealand on the international stage, his journey is one of hard work, resilient, and a genuine love of the game. On the show, we'll talk about where it all began, the people who influenced them, his rugby highlights, and what life looks like now. No mai hara mai, Jackson Ormond, welcome to the show, man.
Kia ora, bro. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Hey, good to have you on the show. Been looking forward to catching up with you. But before we start, ko wai koe, no he koe, just a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
Yeah, obviously, as you said, Hāwera, born and raised. Grew up down there. Older sister, younger brother. A lot of freedom down there, and a lot of sports played a big part of our lives, as it does right now. So awesome place to grow up, awesome set of mates, and obviously my best mates to this day now. So grew up there until Hāwera, did all my school in there, primary, intermediate, high school, until probably my last year at high school when I made the move up to New Plymouth Boys, and sort of just been floating around the scenes ever since.
Nice. Now you mentioned, sport was part of your life as a young fella. How did sports become part of your life, and what sports did you play as a youngster?
Yes, I suppose you're a product of your environment. Parents are heavily into sports. Dabbled in everything, and it's just a massive part of my upbringing, cousins and stuff. But we played everything that we could, really. In the winter, rugby and basketball were the main sports. But before I got into rugby, I sort of dabbled in a bit of soccer. And then, sort of as you tend to follow your mates. So all my mates are playing rugby, so you follow suit, and then played a little bit of rugby in the junior grades for Southland. Played a little bit for the Hawks in the junior grades as well. Growing up, the main sports were rugby, basketball, and touch in the summer.
Nice. Now, I hear you had a nickname when you were a young beast, I think it was. And there's a story I've heard about the 1998 Hāwera Touch Grand Final, where you chased down the fastest kid in Taranaki, Aaron Graham, I believe was his name, from the opposite side of the field to save the championship. Now, being honest, have you always been that competitive, or were you just showing off in front of the packed house at
Yeah, on that, it was hard to bloody remember that far back, to be honest, but I was probably lucky enough to play in some older teams, or some older players, which, being a young fella in some older teams, you pick up quite a bit, and you probably take a bit more on than if you were playing in your own grade. So, I suppose just didn't want to get tackled back in the day, so you had to get used to running fast and try and avoid that contact.
That's the one. Well, you mentioned the older players that you played alongside. Who were some of the biggest influences on you as a young athlete, both within your family and just your peers in sports?
Yeah, I suppose there's always dad was always there, and you just do whatever you can to try and make him proud, or make your parents proud, as well as my older sister and younger brother. But I suppose growing up in Hāwera, Jaden Hayward was a massive influence in myself, and really looked up to him and the things that he was doing, and just wanted to be like that, because he was pretty sharp at most sports growing up, and got to play alongside him a little bit in rugby when I got into the Taranaki scene, so that was awesome. But he was a massive influence on me growing up.
Awesome. Now you attended both Hāwera High School and New Plymouth Boys High School. What role did those years kind of play in shaping you as both a player and a person? Yeah,
I suppose you done most of my growing up at Hāwera, but I kind of probably wanted a change in my last year. It was either maybe going out early into the workforce, or trying something new in a different school, which it was cool going up to Boys High, though. Sort of opens your eyes up a little bit to what's what we have around the country, rather than the Hāwera, which was awesome and awesome players and awesome team, but you kind of used to just playing locals. Whereas it was quite awesome being able to see what's really out there in New Zealand.
Love that. Now, when did you kind of first start to realise that rugby could become more than just a pastime and potentially you could get a career from it?
Yeah, probably not till I finished school. I was into, I made a few rep teams growing up, but nothing too special. Probably wasn't until a year or two out of school when probably put a little bit more time into it, and started to see a few results and make some good teams and get some good opportunities.
Awesome. Well, whānau, we're having an awesome kōrero here with Jackson Ormond about his career. Make sure to stay tuned. We're going to go to a short break and be back shortly. Kia ora koutou wānau, welcome back to Te Ao Hākinakina. We are here with Jackson Ormond having an awesome kōrero about his journey through sports and the early days back in Hāwera. Now, I understand that you earned selection for the New Zealand Sevens program at quite a young age. What was it like pulling on that black jersey for the first time?
Oh, probably first unexpected, I suppose. We had a Taranaki Academy team, Sevens team, where we went over to Aussie. And we competed in this competition in the Gold Coast. Obviously, all boys from Taranaki, but it was kind of a pre-season tournament for the World Series. So we played the likes of, Australia, New Zealand, Samoa, Fiji. Potentially not their top string team, but teams in their squad, and we went quite well as the locals, and ended up taking it out, and a few of us getting an opportunity for a trial after that. So. Before that, there was nothing until we performed at that tournament, and then it opened a few doors for a few people.
Wow, what a experience, eh? Winning that tournament must have been pretty good, and the whānau must have been real proud of you putting on that black jersey. Now, you've also had a stellar provincial career with Taranaki and later with Southland. What are some of your moments that your favourite moments that stand out to you the most in the provincial jerseys?
Yeah, I suppose I've been lucky enough to kind of catch two eras in the Taranaki team. When I first came on the scene, we had, a pretty stacked veteran team, with your Craig Clarks and Jason Edens, and, we've had a lot of good players come in, and then we've got the likes of the new sort of crop that came through, and Taranaki did quite a good job at recruiting quite a few good players from out of town, your Waisake Naholos and your Seta Tamanivalus, and just the players like that, your Charlie Natais and stuff like that. So it's kind of caught one side where I first started. We had a real good team, won the Shield and stuff like that, and then those guys started to retire, and this new crop of players came through, and ended up winning the competition. So I kind of got best of a couple of worlds, really. So it was awesome to learn early days off those older guys, and then be a part of that next crop coming through.
100%. Now, you've mentioned some pretty key names there that you played alongside. Who are some of those kind of, I suppose, role models through your journey, or people that you've really admired and supported you through your journey in rugby?
Yeah, I suppose it starts with the coaches. We were led quite well. Some real good people, leading us with Colin Cooper and Leo Crowley. And I thought, I've had them for most of my career, and I think we're pretty lucky with what we had. And they're two pretty awesome people.
Yeah, awesome. Some legends there, that's for sure. Now, every athlete kind of faces setbacks and challenges. What has been one of the toughest periods of your journey, and what helped you get through it?
Yeah, obviously rugby, a lot of ups and downs, injuries. I was fortunate enough not to have too many big injuries. A couple that, a shoulder that put me out for a season, and a little bit of issues with the head here and there. But I suppose when I went down to Southland, it was an awesome opportunity for me to go down and play with my brother at that level, since he was down there. But then I sort of went down there and struck a little bit of injury, and with injury, form dipped and the team wasn't doing too well. So that really took a bit of a toll mentally. So that was a pretty tough year down there. But at the same time, it was probably one of my favorite years, being able to, spend the year with the little bro in that environment, and also just got to meet a lot of awesome people down there. It's in Invercargill and in the Southland. It's pretty cool place with a lot of proud people and just some awesome people. So
awesome. Must have been really
good with the bad.
Yeah, it must have been cool being down there with your bro as well. But when you reflect on your rugby career, so far, what achievements are you most proud of?
I'm proud of a lot. If you ask me, when I was at high school, if I would have accomplished what I have now, probably wouldn't have believed it. Yeah, you always want more, but pretty grateful for the teams I've been around, the people I've been around, and but yes, I've been lucky enough to tick a few boxes. I've got to win a championship with my home club. A lot in the Naki jersey, with winning the competition and the shield. So, but yeah, I really like my club championship though, because a lot of my brother was in there, a lot of cousins, a lot of family, tied up in the club. So, and that was similar to the Clifton one, where just put a lot of smiles on people's faces when we got that done.
Wow, some pretty awesome achievements here. Not many people win the Shield, win the national championship and a club title, as well as playing sevens for New Zealand. Now, you mentioned Clifton. Just wanted to touch base on that. You're obviously coaching there now, and they were unbeaten this year. Tell us a little bit about that journey for you so far, and what's been the recipe to success?
Yeah, it's a tough one. It was an awesome season, long season. But yeah, we just had a whole bunch of guys that were, showed up every Tuesday, Thursday, wanting to get better. And that was the main thing. There wasn't once where we had to, scramble for numbers at trainings, or, there was always someone putting pressure on someone else to get that spot. So, full credit to I suppose Sage and his captaincy for starters, and just a whole bunch of boys that wanted to get better.
Awesome. And how has it impacted the community of Waitara and Tikorangi and the Clifton Club itself? Like, how does it feel to be part of such a special moment for the people of that area?
Yeah, that's it. It's all about the people. I think, we, lucky enough to win it, but I think it means more to go to the club rooms after we won that final, and just see all the smiling faces, all the old timers, coming up to you and, just want to give you a hug and say thank you. It just, that means more to me, I think.
Awesome. Well, fantastic job, bro. You're doing really, really well out there. Just lastly, what advice would you give, our young athletes out there, our young aspiring rugby players hoping to follow a similar path that you've done, coming from a little rural town? What kind of advice would you give?
Yeah, I suppose you'll get out what you put in there. Like, you turn up Tuesday, Thursday. If you do the bare minimum, you're going to get the bare minimum results. You got to enjoy it. You got to enjoy putting time outside of those Tuesday, Thursdays, Saturdays. So you might not see it straight away, but if you keep chipping away, you'll soon see the results. Awesome
bit of advice there for our listeners at home. Well, Jackson, it's been fantastic having you on the show and sharing your journey from South Taranaki to the world, and your experiences along the way, and the massive success that you're having out there at Clifton. Kudos to you and your team and your whānau, and on behalf of us here on the show, thank you for coming on, and look forward to seeing your continued journey in coaching.
Yeah, no, cheers, bro. Thanks for having me.